Good day, everybody, and welcome back to the channel. I'm Curtis. We're glad you're here with us. Today, we're going to talk about something that's kind of been going around the LEGO community a little bit, and this is the LEGO Ambassador Network and the kind of controversy that has sprouted up around it regarding some of the heavy hitters involved in the LEGO Ambassador Network program. So we're going to talk about that today and just kind of hit on a couple of the things that I've noticed and how it actually does impact this channel and many of our other small creator friends out there. So hold on, here we go. Let me start off by saying that as controversies go, this is pretty first world, okay? So I even thought about that when I was writing my notes for this video. It's like, what a blessing to be able to go on YouTube and talk about LEGO Ambassador Network. It's like, yeah, not a big problem, but it's pretty impactful for a lot of people who are really impassioned about LEGO. And it's just kind of an interesting topic, so let's have some fun with it. So this whole controversy started a few months ago when a couple of heavy hitters decided to leave the LEGO Ambassador Network. One notable one is Duck Bricks, Christopher Lee, who along with his partner Robert Zhang won Season 4 of LEGO Masters. The other one, more recently, is Bricksie, who made a couple of videos describing why he decided to leave the LEGO Ambassador Network. So that's kind of where the current genesis of this stuff really did start. Now, both of these guys gave pretty similar responses to why they left. Duck Bricks decided to leave because he's got his own business, he's got his own company, and he really wanted to focus on content that he wanted to do rather than to be what he thought beholden to LEGO all the time. Bricksie was very similar. He wanted to really focus, he said, on his city, which is absolutely fantastic and incredible. So one thing that Bricksie said that really stuck to me is that he said he wanted to stop being called a shill for LEGO, basically. So when I go to dictionary.com here or Oxford Languages, what is a shill? Well, an accomplice of a hawker, gambler, or swindler who acts as an enthusiastic customer to entice or encourage others. I don't think any of these people are accomplices or gamblers or swindlers. Now, when it comes to in slang terms, which I think we understand more about being a shill in like slang terms, it means a biased promoter, a decoy designed to trick others into trusting a scam or buying something. You know, I don't know if either one of those definitions is really all that accurate. I think really when we talk about is a person a shill for LEGO, that they might not be giving honest reviews, they might be withholding information, and things like that. Maybe overly enthusiastic, you know, highlighting the really, really good parts, ignoring the bad parts. And I can understand that definition in our kind of like, you know, lexicon of what a shill means today. However, there's another side. Land members always disclose that they are land members. They're not really trying to hide anything. And I think the LEGO consumer is probably sophisticated enough to know that and to just like want to see the review and see the set to decide on their own if it really is a good set. I don't really know, I don't have any data on if land members really are good at, you know, pushing people towards the product. The LEGO community is tight, but is expanding. And I think people who look at the review videos are probably really a part of that community and probably can't be swayed either way. And price has a big part to do with it as well. Even though I believe that these land members, when they do their reviews, are being honest, unfortunately, the impression of being a shill will probably always stick with you if you're getting the stuff for free, because it is transactional. So to really be independent, if you're getting your stuff for free and you're reviewing it, I'm not sure if that impression will ever really leave you. So that is something that these land members have to contend with. Another reason that Duck Bricks and Bricksie's announcement kind of made some waves a little bit is because it's also associated with a recent product launch, the Smart Brick, that has not gone over well. I have yet to see a positive review of the Smart Brick. I really, really encourage you to look at Duck Brick's video when he reviews every single set in the Smart Brick lineup. He spent his own money on it. It is an almost 4-hour-long video. I don't think you'll find a more intense video on it. And the reviews, the results not good. Not good. It seems to have created this kind of perfect storm of and an uncomfortable relationship between the LAN members and Lego's desire to really push this product. It was really testing, it seems, the limits of this relationship. However, it also does help out that, frankly, Smart Brick has been universally panned as a bad product. That seems to have provided some LAN members with some cover, because I can give this honest review on how bad a product this is, but look, everybody else is doing it too. Don't kick me out. It ain't just me, right? So it kind of interesting how these things all kind of came together at the same time. Wasn't nobody shilling for Smart Bricks. So not being a LAN member myself, Kim and I are not members of LAN. We're way too small. We don't have as much influence. I really don't understand fully how it works, but a lot of people have been explaining how it works. And this is where there's been some confusion. Some other YouTubers have said that, why quit it? You can say no to sets. Duck Bricks and Bricksie both said, I have a hard time saying no. Duck Bricks said, I'll even take Duplo if they send it to me. So they were saying, they have a hard time saying no, even though they can. And some other commenters were saying, and I tend to agree, just get what you want. However, Bricksie did say something really, really interesting, that apparently they send you a suite of sets, some that may not interest you, that they don't want to build. And he didn't want to be a part of that anymore, to try to drum up maybe some fake enthusiasm for something that he wouldn't buy himself. And I respect Brixie's decision in that. And he's already done it since. He is going to a Lego store. He is spending his own money on a set that he really likes, instead of just trying to gin up his own, desire or liking a certain set. He didn't want to do that anymore, and that I can definitely respect. This does open it up to another question. Are LAN members being really honest in their reviews? I think 95% of them are. However, we have to think, and other commenters have talked about that as well, that if you are getting free sets from Lego, there is going to be an implicit bias in your head that in order to make this relationship reciprocal, you have got to probably give it a good review. Maybe not a good review, but to be tempered in your bad points about the set. And why is that? Well, Lego is not giving out these sets to LAN members out of the goodness of their heart. It is transactional. They're looking to get something out of it. So if you are reviewing that set, you are going to feel maybe the need to not be as harsh as you can. So maybe that's something that Bricksie and Duck Bricks didn't want to have to deal with either. So some commenters have said, LAN members aren't paid. Well, that's not entirely true. They are getting thousands and thousands of dollars worth of free sets. That is worth money. Now, apparently, from what I understand, they're not allowed to sell them. They're not allowed to do stuff. They can, donate them. Some people have said that they've done that. I get that. But it is still something of value. And if you have been a LAN member for several years, like a lot of these people have, you're getting tens of thousands of dollars worth of free stuff. So having a relationship with a company for that long would kind of, tend to make you want to keep that relationship going and to keep it positive. Now, how do I know that there might be some implied bias in a review of sets? Because Kim and I have been there also. We have been sent free sets by companies in the past. We used to have a relationship with a great online retailer called Warbricks. He is no longer in business. The guy was great. I had contacted him when we were even a much smaller channel. I said, I was trying to get in on just like an affiliate program. Like if we, buy their sets, review it, send businesses way, we might get a small check. And he had said, hey, how about we just start sending you some stuff and review? I mean, we were a part of his advertising budget. And so we did reviews. I think we did pretty unbiased reviews, but can I be 100% certain they weren't unbiased? No, because we got the stuff for free. And sometimes it was sets that he would just like send us randomly, even though we had also got the stuff that we were asking for. It's like, I do feel a need. Now I got to review this thing. Okay. Even though it might not have been something that I spend my own money on. So we have been there. Even during the past week when I've been kind of making my notes and researching this video, we got contacted by a major alt-brick company offering to send us sets. And I looked at Kim and I looked at the sets they were offering to send us, and I said, no, I don't want to do that. So it has happened to us. So, and again, these are just like one-offs, right? When it is just like one collaboration, like they just sent us one thing, I'm only imagine, again, if you have a years long relationship with the standard bearer of Lego and the need to do that, might we be land members someday? I don't know. Not right now. We're just, again, way too small. They want to have a big impact with whoever they choose to be a LAN member. There's also another reason that Lego wouldn't touch us for the Lego Ambassador Network is because we do alt bricks. Apparently, according to Bricksie's latest video, and I didn't know this, if you are a Lego ambassador, you are not doing Fantasy, you're not doing Luma Bricks, you're not doing Mold King or Xmork or Urge or a lot of the others that we love and that we have found to be so satisfying when it comes to a build. We ain't giving up our alt bricks, Lego. Bricksie also said something that I thought was really insightful in his last video about this topic, and that was Lego is doing its best to control the creator space. There are a lot of Lego reviewers out there. Let me backpedal a little bit. Another reason both Duck Bricks and Bricksie said they were getting out is because there's too much competition. That space is heavily saturated with Lego. It's frankly one reason why Kim and I just decided to go with all bricks also, because Lego it's just saturated. There's so many reviews that come out. So they were like, oh, the pressure of getting these sets, building them quick, putting out a video was just too much. They didn't want to deal with that either. So I mentioned the potential bias that LAN members might have when it comes to reviewing. Well, let me tell you about my bias. Would I love to get Lego sets for free? Of course. Would I love to, even more importantly, get those Lego sets early so that I could build them, review them, and get all the views, which again, if you know YouTube, translates over time into money. Would I love that? Absolutely. If you would have asked me a year ago, would you really like to be a part of the Lego Ambassador? I would have said absolutely. Now, honestly, after watching Duck Bricks and Brixie's videos, I am not so sure. I don't know if the cost of feeling that independence would be worth it. Frankly, the allure of free stuff has kind of faded away. We have got enough sets in our backlog to probably generate 1.5 to 2 years worth of content, not even including all the cool stuff we like to do with Rebrickable, taking existing sets, make them into something new. We think, in our honest opinion, that creates kind of more different content that maybe other people aren't doing out there as much. So I am not sure. Getting that Lego Death Star for free sounds pretty cool, though. I'd have a hard time saying no. When it comes to our relationship with some of these alt brick companies or online retailers, sometimes we contact them because we see something really interesting and cool. Sometimes they contact us, which is always makes you feel kind of good. We've had a good relationship with Less DIY. We've reviewed a couple of their sets. Another company that had contacted us was Atom Bricks, the Falling Water review that Kim did a while ago. She absolutely loved that set. Very honest review. We haven't got anything else from them lately, but again, sometimes these things are just, one-off. Hey, let's do that. They want to test the waters and see how a set goes over, see how a video goes over. And I don't blame them at all for wanting to do that. And I got to admit, it feels pretty good when a company contacts you and, they ask you to review their set. So to finish up this video on the so-called controversy, which really isn't much of a controversy at all. Other people have noticed who are in the land that, people come and go from it all the time. It's just that I really think, again, going back to my previous point about that perfect storm of smart brick and two heavy hitters leaving the land, I'm not sure if that's too much of a coincidence that they just don't want to do that anymore. So it's kind of interesting. But it does finally beg the question, why is there a Lego Ambassador Network at all? The only thing I can think of is because it is cheaper than traditional advertising media. To me, that has got to be the only reason. Why? Because it's kind of like Coca-Cola. Coca-Cola still advertises, but it is by far the number one cola company in the world. Matter of fact, second isn't even Pepsi anymore. It's Dr. Pepper. Yet Coke continues to advertise. Lego does not have to advertise. There's an old saying, the best don't have to. The best don't have to advertise. So why did they even do this? I don't know. However, I do know this. In the YouTube space, in the Instagram space, when it comes to content creators, I am definitely hurt by there being a Lego Ambassador Network. I am hurt by and I'm not physically, but it does impact our channel, because if everybody had to review all these sets at the same time, getting them for free, that's not the issue. It's getting them so early when you're a Lego Ambassador Network that really is the advantage, because I will be looking at Solid Brick Studios or others, and within the first day of a pre-release set being recorded, it's got 30,000 views or even more. So that doesn't leave space for anybody else. But again, we will most likely never be a part of LANs. So it's kind of like not wanting to go to the Oscars. You know what? Doesn't matter, because I wasn't invited. Additionally, Lego is by far the biggest toy maker in the world. They made $2.6 billion in 2025, way out front of Hasbro and Mattel, and that is with just basically their one product, which is plastic bricks. Hasbro and Mattel have all these other sorts of different products, but Lego is dominant. They don't need to do this. And sometimes it does seem like it actually does hurt them a little bit when stuff like this comes up. So what do you think about this? Leave a comment below. Is this really a controversy? If I said anything wrong or I misspoke anything, leave a comment and know. Always looking to improve, and we will be back with more later on. All bricks, Lego. Why? Because we love all bricks. All right. Hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. It would really help us out. Hit that like. We'll see you next time. Thanks. Bye.